Welcome back to Storybook Crochet. In today's video we are going to be making this witch jellyfish. It comes with a witch hat, and we are going to be using worsted yarn for this video in black, green, and purple. You're also going to want a 3.5 or E hook. You're going to need a yarn needle, a stitch marker, some scissors, Fiberfill, some 20mm safety eyes. You'll need 2 of those, and a small amount of white if you want to line the eyes like this. So go ahead and grab all of your supplies and we'll get started. Alright, we're going to start with our purple yarn for the top part or the head of our jellyfish. So we're going to grab that yarn and make a magic ring. And then for round number 1, we're going to make 6 single crochets in that ring. Alright, once you have those 6 made, you're just going to pull on that tail and go ahead and close that opening. Alright, and that's round 1. So for round 2, we're going to increase around. So you're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and that will give you a total of 12 single crochets. Okay, so that's the end of round number 2. So at this point, I'm going to grab my stitch marker, and I put mine at the end of each row or round. So for round number 3, we're going to start out with 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then we'll increase in the second stitch. And that's the pattern we're going to repeat around. So 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet, increase. For round number 4, we're going to start again with 1 single crochet in that first stitch, and then we're going to increase in the second stitch. So just like we started out the last round, 1 single crochet, increase, but this time after we get those first 2 stitches done, we're going to switch to doing 2 single crochets over the next 2 stitches. So 1 in each stitch. So 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then you'll increase in the third stitch. So for our increase rounds, we're going to stagger our increases so they're not in the same stitch each time, because that creates kind of an edge there. And by doing the staggered increases, it makes it a more round circle, which is what we're going for. So again, you're going to do 2 single crochets and then increase. So as you work around, when you get your last increase done, you're going to have 1 stitch left. You'll just put 1 single crochet in that last stitch. Okay, so this is my last increase. So we have the 1 stitch left. You're going to put 1 single crochet in the last stitch there. Okay, put in your stitch marker. For the next round, we're going to do 3 single crochets and increase in the 4th. So 1, 2, and 3 single crochets, and then we'll increase in that 4th stitch. And again, you'll just repeat that pattern around. So 3 single crochets and increase. All right, moving on to round number 6, we're going to start by making 2 single crochets. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets over the first 2 stitches there. So 1 in each, and then increase in the 3rd stitch. All right, so 1, 2, increase. Once you have those made, we're going to switch to doing 4 single crochets and then increase in that 5th stitch. All right, once you have that made, you're going to repeat that around. So 4 single crochets and then increase. At the end, after your last increase, you'll have 2 stitches left. You're just going to put 1 single crochet in those last 2 stitches. All right, for round number 7, we're now going to do 5 single crochets and then increase in that 6th stitch. All right, so there's 5 single crochets and then increase in the 6th. And again, just repeat that around until the end of this round. Round 8 is going to be our last increase round. So we're going to start out by making 3 single crochets. All right, once you have 3 single crochets made, you're going to increase in that 4th stitch. After that is complete, we're going to switch to doing 6 single crochets and then increase in the 7th. Okay, and so you'll just repeat that around. So again, after your last increase is made, you'll have 3 stitches left, just single crochet in each of those last 3 stitches. Okay, so that was our last increase round, and this is what the top of the jellyfish should look like at this point. So now for rounds 9 through 16, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Each round will be a total of 48 single crochets made. So go ahead and finish off through round 16. Like I said, 1 single crochet in each stitch around for each of those rounds. And we will meet back after you finish round number 16. All right, so this is what our piece should look like after round 16 is complete. So moving on to round number 17, we're going to start our decrease rounds, and there's going to be 3 of those. So for this round, we're going to start off by making 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to make a decrease over the first 2. And I go in the front loop only. So instead of going under both, you just go under that very front loop there. And then go under the second front loop. And then make your decrease. So 3 and then decrease. After that, we're going to switch to 6 single crochets and then decrease. All right, so you'll just repeat that around, 6 single crochets and decrease. At the end, after your last decrease, you'll have 3 stitches left, just single crochet in each of those last 3 stitches. All right, for round number 18, this time we're going to do 5 single crochets. And then we will make our next decrease. So just repeat that around, 5 single crochets and decrease. Round 19 is our last decrease round. So we're going to start out by making 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2. And then you'll make your decrease. And then after that, we're going to switch to 4 single crochets and decrease around. All right, so again, just repeat that around. At the end, after your last decrease is made, you'll have 2 stitches left. You'll just single crochet in those last 2 stitches. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and add our facial features, our eyes. If you want to grab a small length of white yarn to line the eyes with, that's optional, but I think it adds a little bit more character to the eyes. So to add our eyes, we're going to just count up 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in the spaces right above that 4th row, between the 4th and 5th, we're going to go ahead and add our eyes. So insert your first one. And then you'll want about 4 stitches between. So I actually count over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it'll overlap that 5th one there. And insert your next eye so you can see the 4 stitches right between the eyes. Okay, and go ahead and add your backs to your eyes. All right, and now we can grab our yarn, our white yarn, and your yarn needle. And then I just come up through the inside of the jellyfish, and I will come up at the, let's just start at the top here. Come up through the very top of one of your eyes, and then I come down not quite all the way to the bottom, but the row right above that, and pull that through. Okay, that adds that kind of little highlight to the eye, and then do the exact same thing to the next one. All right, so that's what that should look like. So we're going to go ahead and just tie those 2 ends together inside of the head here. And I usually make about 3 knots. Don't tie it too tightly or it's going to kind of pull them together, and we don't want that. So just tie those off, and then I just stuff the rest of the yarn inside the head there. You don't need to cut that or anything. Okay. And that is what that should look like with the eyes attached. All right, so moving on to round 20, we're going to start to make kind of a scalloped edge for the very bottom part of our jellyfish here. So to do this, we're going to be working in the front loop only. So you'll only go under that first loop and not both loops. Okay, so in this first stitch here, in the front loop only, we're going to make a slip stitch. So just pull your yarn through and then pull it through your loop. All right, so in the next stitch, we're going to make 3 single crochets all in that same stitch. Again, in the front loop only. All right, and that's what that should look like. And we're just going to repeat that around. So the next one, front loop only, we're going to make a slip stitch. And then in the next, again, front loop only, we're going to make 3 single crochets. So by the time you get all the way around, you should have 15 of these little scallops made. So go ahead and repeat your slip stitch and your 3 single crochets all the way around. All right, so that is what this should look like, this first little edge. So we're going to repeat that again, but for the next round, we're going to single crochet in that back loop that was left unworked. So you're just going to kind of flip that up, go into that first back loop that is left undone, and just make a single crochet. And then you'll just repeat that all the way around. So 1 single crochet in each back loop around. Okay, so just repeat that around. At the end of this round, we are going to switch to black yarn. So you'll want to grab that, and I will show you how to change your colors. All right, so go ahead and grab your black yarn, and to change colors, we're going to kind of undo this last single crochet we made, just pull your yarn out to where you have 2 loops sticking up, and then grab those on your hook so you just have those 2 loops. I go ahead at this point and just cut a short tail just to kind of get that out of the way. Then you'll grab your black yarn, and with your hook you'll just pull that through those 2 loops. Okay, and you'll kind of want to hold on to those tails right there. Alright, so going into the next stitch, we're going to work in the front loop only again, so make sure you're not going in those last 3 single crochets in that last stitch that you made. It'll be the next one over. Okay, so you're going to go into that front loop there and make a slip stitch. So we're going to repeat the scallop pattern around in the front loops only. So you'll slip stitch and then 3 single crochets, and then slip stitch, and then 3 single crochets. So this will repeat that scallop pattern around, but just with the black yarn. So it'll kind of look like this. So at the end of this round, we'll be changing back to purple, so you'll need to keep that close to you. So go ahead and repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. Alright, so this is what our jellyfish should look like so far with the 2 scalloped edges here. Before we start to close this opening, let's go ahead and grab some Fiberfill and get that stuffed. You'll want to stuff it firmly, but not too firmly yet, so that we can get those closing rounds done, but we can add more as we go and before we close. Okay, so at the end of this last round that we just did, we're going to change back to purple. So go ahead and get your 2 loops on your hook there, cut your black yarn, and grab your purple. And then pull that through those 2 loops. Okay, and that's what that should look like. So we're going to again work in the back loops that we left unworked. So you're going to go find that first back loop. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and do 3 single crochets. Okay, after you make your 3 single crochets, you're going to decrease. So go into that first one, pull up your loop, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3. So just repeat that around, 3 single crochets and decrease around. Okay, so for round number 24, this time we're just going to make 2 single crochets, so 1 and 2, and then decrease in the next. And you'll just repeat that around, so 1, 2, and decrease. Before moving on, let's go ahead and finish stuffing any Fiberfill that you need to add to it to make it nice and round. Make sure it has that shape that you're wanting before we finish the last 2 rounds and close it off. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to grab my stitch marker here. And for the next round, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then decrease over the next 2 stitches. So you'll repeat that round until you have a total of 12 stitches at the end of this round. Alright, for our very last round, we're just going to decrease around, and you'll do this a total of 6 times. So just over the first 2 stitches, you'll make a decrease, and then over the next 2 stitches, you'll do another decrease. So you'll do a total of 6 decreases. Alright, after that last decrease is made, go ahead and slip stitch in the next stitch, pull that through, and go ahead and cut a little bit of a tail. We're just going to go ahead and weave that in. Okay, finish that off. Grab your yarn needle. Okay, and then I just come up through one stitch and out through the next and do that around, and that'll cinch that tight and together. Close that opening. Once I have it closed, I kind of go down through, if it's kind of poking up, go down through where it's poking up to kind of push that in, and then just come out the side here, and then I'll weave that in one more time. Alright, and just cut that off. And this is the top part of our jellyfish finished. So next we're going to move on to the tentacles. Alright, we are going to start with the curly Q tentacles here, and we're going to do these in purple, and you will end up making 3 of these. So I'm going to show you how to make one, and then you can pause the video and make the other 2 before we move on to the other tentacles. So the first thing you're going to want to do is chain 36. Alright, once you have your chain of 36 made, starting in that second chain from the hook, we're going to make 3 single crochets, all in that same chain. And then you're just going to repeat that across. Every chain will have 3 single crochets made, and that's what makes that chain curl up for us. So go ahead and finish off your 3 single crochets in each chain across. When you get to the very end and finish it off, make sure you cut a long tail so we can sew it on like this. And then this short tail, you'll want to go ahead and just weave that in before we sew those onto the jellyfish. Okay, so moving on to the straight tentacles. These are straight, but they do have a little bit of curl to them. We're going to make 4 of these. So again, I'll show you how to make 1, and you can pause the video and make the other 3. So as the same as the curly ones, we're going to go ahead and make a chain of 36. Okay, and so for this one, after we make our chain of 36, go into that second chain from your hook, and you're just going to make 1 single crochet in each chain across. Alright, and it's as simple as that. So 1 single crochet in each chain, and again, go ahead and cut a longer tail when you're finished, and then weave in that short tail, so that's out of the way when we sew it onto the jellyfish. So finish these 4, and then I'll show you how to sew those on. Alright, now that all the tentacles are made, I'll show you how to sew these onto the bottom of our jellyfish. So you want to turn that over, and I start with the curly ones, and I put them around the center here. So I'll do like 1 and then 2 here, and then the green ones I sew all around the outside edge. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just grab your first one here, and then grab the stitch where you're wanting to put it, come up through the very end of the tentacle here, and then I do the next little stitch over and then come up through once more. So it's got 2 stitches securing that, and then you'll just want to weave in that end through your tentacle. So So I weave it in once and then I come back through again. All right, and then just snip that tail off there. So that's our first tentacle placed. So again, put your next two purple ones right here towards the center, and then the green ones evenly, each four on the outsides of the base here. All right, so here are our tentacles finished. You can see I've sewn all three of the purple in the middle and then the green along the outside here. So the next thing we're going to make is our witch hat. So you're going to want to grab your black and green yarn for that. Okay, so starting the witch hat, we're going to start with our black yarn. And for our first round, round number 1, we're going to make a magic ring. And in this magic ring, we're going to make 4 single crochets. Okay, once you have your 4 made, go ahead and close that opening. And then for round 2, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So you can grab your stitch marker here. I know with the black it's a little bit harder to see. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. So for round 2, we will again have a total of 4 single crochets made. Once you have that 4th stitch made, you're going to want to pop out the point there, and this will be the very tip of the witch hat. So you kind of push those stitches up and then put your stitch marker in. So for round number 3, we're going to start out with 1 single crochet, and then we're going to increase in that 2nd stitch. And then we're going to do that one more time. So 1 single crochet and then increase. That will give us a total of 6 single crochets made for round number 3. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut that shorter tail from the center there to get that out of the way. Okay, so for rounds 4 through 5, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So each round is a total of 6 single crochets. All right, moving on to round 6. This time we're going to do 2 single crochets, so 1 and 2, and then increase in that 3rd stitch. And then you'll do that one more time. All right, and then for round 7, you're just going to single crochet around, and you should have a total of 8 stitches made after round 7. For round 8, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then increase. And for round 9, you're just going to single crochet around for a total of 10 single crochets. For round 10, we're going to do 4 single crochets and increase. So for the next few rounds, we're going to be repeating this increase pattern. So the next one will be 5 increase, then 6 increase, and you're going to do that through round 14. So I'm just going to write those instructions up on the screen so you can follow along with that, and we'll meet back at the end of round number 14. All right, so moving on to round number 15, this is going to be our last increase round for this. We're going to do 4 single crochets and increase around. And you'll do this a total of 4 times, and you will end with a total of 24 single crochets made. So 4 single crochets and increase. Okay, so for rounds number 16 and 17, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So that's for 2 rounds, 1 single crochet in each stitch. At the end of round 17, we're going to be switching to green, so you'll want to grab that next. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and switch to our green yarn. So go ahead and cut that shorter tail of the black there and grab your green and pull it through your 2 loops to attach the green yarn. So for round number 18, we're going to be working in the back loop only. So before we were working in the front loop, now we're going to go under the one behind it. So the back loop there, and you're just going to single crochet around, but you're going to use the back loop for every single stitch. And by doing that, you're going to leave that little black ridge here. The front loops will be left exposed. Okay, so go ahead and single crochet around, 1 in each stitch in the back loop only. All right, for round 19, we're just going to single crochet around again. This time you'll just go under both loops like normal. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. At the end of this round, we will be changing back to our black yarn. Okay, so let's go ahead and change to our black yarn here. And for round number 20, we're going to start making the base or the bottom part of the hat. So we're going to work in the front loop only for this round. So what you're going to do is start in this first stitch and make a single crochet in that front loop only. Okay, in the next stitch, you're just going to make an increase. Okay, and then you're just going to repeat that pattern around, single crochet, and then increase. And you're going to only use the front loop of this. That's what's going to make the brim of the hat here kind of stick out. So repeat that around, single crochet and increase, and at the end of this round you should have a total of 36 stitches made. Okay, so this is what it should look like so far. For our next round, round 21, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 1 single crochet and increase, but this time you'll just go under both loops like normal. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, increase in the next stitch. So repeat that around until the end of the round, and then we'll do our edging round, and that will be the last round for the hat. Okay, so round 22 is our very last round, and we're going to make kind of like a little decorative edging to our hat here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is slip stitch in that first stitch there. Okay, after you make your slip stitch, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to skip the next stitch and slip stitch in the second stitch. And then you're just going to repeat that around. So after you slip stitch, you'll chain 3, skip the next stitch, slip stitch in the one after that. Chain 3, skip 1, and then slip stitch. Alright, so repeat that all the way around. Once you get to the end of the round, I'll show you how to finish that off, and then we will sew that onto our jellyfish. Alright, so once you have that last slip stitch made, you're going to just slip stitch in the very last stitch of the round here. And then we'll finish that off with a long tail that we'll use to sew onto the top of our jellyfish. Okay, so I just tuck my tails in there, and then I add just a little bit of stuffing to the base of the hat here. You don't want to really overstuff that, and I leave the point here like unstuffed. Alright, so let's grab our yarn needle here. And your jellyfish, and I kind of put mine off to the side like this, but you could do the top. Either way would be really cute. So you're going to kind of want to weave this through the base or the brim here, so you get to the back loops that were left unworked of the green round, and we'll use that round to sew on the hat. Okay, so you'll use these back loops right here. Okay, find your placement of your jellyfish here, and then you'll just kind of want to flip that brim up a little bit so you can see those back loops, and then come up through the jellyfish, up through a back loop, and you'll do that all the way around until you've got your jellyfish or your hat sewn onto your jellyfish. So once you have that completely sewn all the way around, go ahead and weave in the ends, and then your jellyfish will be finished. Alright, our jellyfish is now finished. Let me know in the comments below how you enjoyed this pattern. You don't want to miss the next video. The next jellyfish video will be a zombie jellyfish, and that one's super fun. So you don't miss that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, and that will let you know as soon as that video is available. So as always, thanks for joining me in today's video, and I will see you in the next one.